This episode is brought to you by DraftKings. This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going, but that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out and games left for you to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 256, aka 895 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes, and I am going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Mr. Nick Manella. What's going on, my friend?
Oh, a lot is going on. It finally happened. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't even have to say it. We're going to get into it. It's going to be cool.
Now going to toss it across the screen to my other co-host, Mac Vogel. What's going on?
What up? We're all on cloud nine. Cloud eight. Ocho, baby. It's his big day. And we've got a bear of a segment to flip it over to here in a second to talk all about it. So
Indeed, we do. This is the episode where we talk about Alex Ovechkin officially becoming the all-time NHL leading goal scorer.
also
Uh,
known as Harry's favorite episode that he's been waiting for forever. We're gonna
Correct.
yeah,
talk
Yeah.
have a 30 plus minute segment on Alex Ovechkin.
yep. I had to sit through all of that. We are going to dive into that in a second. But first off, just before we have our OV segment with our good friend Sean Largent, shout out to him for joining the show. Huge thank you to Don't Know Tavern for hosting our watch party on Sunday. That was a lot of fun. There was a ticket raffle giveaway, jersey raffle giveaway. I'm really happy that we got to get all the Caps fans together to see the record get broken. That was actually pretty cool to like witness all the guys who grew up together watching him, see him break it real time. So that was awesome. Huge thank you to them. And like I just said, we had our good friend Sean Largent, who was there with us on Sunday, join the show. He was at Capital One for when Ovi tied the record. So we talk a little bit about that, and then we dive into the Islanders game where he officially broke it. So without wasting too much of your time, we're going to toss it off to that interview right now.
All right, everyone. Big episode, big day, big week for the Empty Betters family. So we are pleased to be joined by Mr. Sean Largent. What's up, buddy? Glad to have you on the show finally.
Yeah, what's up? What's up? Been a while.
I know. Yeah. Sorry it took so long, but you're here now. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, the big story, I would say, in sports. I would hope everyone would agree with that over the past 48, 72, however many hours is Alex Ovechkin now supersedes Wayne Gretzky as the NHL's goal scoring leader. You were in attendance the night that he tied the great one. Going into that game, he needed three to break, two to tie. So just walking into Cap One that night, what was going through your head and what were the vibes like?
It was a lot of well, first off, the vibes felt like a playoff game. Everyone kind of had that buzz about them. You only get that buzz when it's a game that actually means something, and you could tell that everyone was there for one reason and one reason only. So the buzz there was, insane. On top of that, like going into it, I'm walking in, and I know we texted about it on the side, but it was just kind of like something just felt like a quiet confidence, I guess, that this is just what he does. So like you give him a chance to get a hat trick to become the best goal scorer in the game. It almost felt like it was not a matter of is he going to do it. It's like, okay, at what time in the game is he going to do it? And it was kind of crazy because sitting, in the nosebleeds and everything, you get a good view for the entire arena. The entire lower section, I kid you not, was filled to the brim. And come intermission, it looked like everyone had just gone to the exits and left the stadium. So like everybody was in their seats. Like people were calling out when he was on the ice. So like the buzz was legitimately palpable. And again, it's just kind of one of those things that if you're a Caps fan, you pretty much know that you don't really need to, hope and pray. Is he going to do it? It was just kind of one of those like, okay, when's it going to happen? And it felt like all but inevitable that night that something was going to happen given the storm that was the fans and the situation, and it was unreal, just absolutely unreal.
Yeah, I agree. Like something about just something in the air that morning when I woke up. I like how you said a quiet confidence. That's exactly what it felt like. The only other time I can remember feeling this way was also when Ovi got his 800th goal. Oddly enough, also against the Blackhawks. I went to that game in Chicago. I've talked about it on the pod before, but he also that night needed three to get to that number. And it's just something like I think when he gets within like reasonable striking distance of something like that, it just can't be like taken from him. Like he's got the confidence to be like he just rises to the occasion under those moments rather than like I was listening to Chicklets today. They had Strom on and Keith Yandel said something like he was like, if I was in a situation where I knew I needed to like get a certain number of like points or like do a certain number of things in a finite amount of games, I would just like crumble under the pressure. But that's just me. Like Ovi is just built different. He's somebody who seems to really rise to the occasion. I was going to ask you, and you kind of touched on it, but once he scored that first one, and then especially so after the second one, was the concourse like completely like empty? Like I can't imagine somebody like in line for like popcorn or a beer when like that shit's going on. Like everybody had to be glued to their seats, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. I tried to make like my own personal rules like at the under 16 timeout, try to go grab a beer real quick or something or take a piss. And I walked out, and you guys know being at Cap One, like they don't let you back in while the game's in play. So I walked out, and it was like a ghost town on the concourse. I mean, I was like the only person in line to take a piss. I was the only person in line to get a beer, and I did it all in a matter of like 2 minutes, which is like almost unheard of.
That's incredible.
Like it was literally like nobody was on the concourse. Everyone was so dialed into what was going on that I literally went and got beer, took a piss, and got back all in a matter of 2 minutes, and still missed like none of his ice time. So,
Even the
and even
beer
like,
man is like he's like watching the game. You're trying to buy a beer. He's like, not now, kid. I'm watching.
yeah, well, I went up to the lady and she was like eating, and I was like, I'm sorry for interrupting. And she gave me a
Yeah.
free water. So it was 50% off Bud Lights that night. So they
Oh,
were
right.
really trying to like get him out. So I didn't know that when I went up there. So it just gave me
That's
all the more
awesome.
reason to like go over there and get some beer. But
Right.
no, it was literally it was a ghost town on the concourse. And then obviously like in between periods it was, a stampede. But um, even after he scored that first in I think it was the first period, like right away, people were like, all right, now I can't leave my seat. Like I have no reason to leave my seat. And then in I think it was the third, he ended up tying it. And then like the buzz was already there throughout the second. He does it in the third, and it's like people were glued to their seats like literally the entire game. I'd never seen like the lower bowl just absolutely go bare in between periods. It was like full sections, just nobody there because nobody really wanted to miss like what was going on in the arena that night.
Go ahead, Harry.
I'm just curious, like for all three of you, but specifically Sean, like you're there, he's got the two goals, they pull the goalie, And then we all obviously in hindsight saw that he kind of looked at carbs and he was like, "Yeah, I don't really want to do it like this." Is there a part of you that, I mean, obviously you wish you would have been there when it happened, but like, are you cool with it, or do you think like that it would have meant just as much even if it was on an empty net? Like, I'm curious your guys' opinion on that.
I guess for me, like knowing that he did it the next game in New York, takes the sting out of it a little bit that it didn't happen when we were there because if it would have happened like the next home game, I would have been kicking myself like, damn, I didn't get tickets to that one. Because we had like me and my buddy that I went with, we had game planned this for months. He did a couple of numbers and said April 4th, that looks like the day. So we kind of just guesstimated about when he's going to do it. Um, but it was one of those things where like it's still history because it's again like a record that was unattainable, and we saw him get to that unattainable goal like right in front of our eyes. So it like sting of it, like him not doing it that night, wish he did, but like there was still history that night, one way or another.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I mean, I would have been fine with it either way. Put it this way, when I was watching the game, I was fully prepared for the empty. As soon as he got the second one, I was like, okay, we have a lead. We just got to hold this lead until there's like 2, 3 minutes left. We're getting this on the empty net. And I had no issue with that whatsoever. I would not have had any problem with him breaking the record on an empty net, even if it was the only goal he scored that game, but especially on a hat trick empty net. Like if he had done it on a hat trick empty net, I know there still would have been Twitter clowns screaming empty net merchant or whatever, but you're just a dumbass at that point. Like it,
100%.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have had absolutely no issue with it. But at the same time, I respect Ovi for doing it the way he wanted to do it. And I mean, how about the fucking confidence too, right? To be like, oh, I know there's only like 5 games left in the season, but I don't care. I'm gonna get it. Like,
I think the run to close this out, like I mean, he's been scoring at like a ridiculous pace, and then just like
yeah,
goal in Carolina, two against Chicago, and then of course rips one against the Islanders to
yeah,
break it. But I agree with you, Mac. Like as soon as I saw that empty net, I was like, oh, bury this thing. I don't care what anyone
yeah.
says. Do it in front of the
No,
kids. Do it in front of the family.
right.
Like,
Yep.
bring it home.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, like it was like set up on like the absolute perfect platter. The hat trick is, not the easiest thing to get in hockey. So like him doing it at the stage of his career that he's in to break a record that's never been thought about being touched before. And to do it like obviously in front of the home crowd and everything, like it just felt like a whole culmination that if he did it, I don't know if Cap One would still be standing right now.
What
That's a
I
good
just
point.
kept like, can you imagine? Because now we know what the whole celebration and the ceremony looked like on Long Island when he broke it, right? Everybody hit the ice, dog pile, red carpets rolled out, microphone, everything, family to the ice. Can you imagine if while all that's happening, there's hats flying from the fucking state? Like
The
Mayhem.
scenes,
chills.
scenes,
I would have been losing my mind. And can you like every single one of those hats would have just been in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like if you throw a
Right.
hat on the ice, that hat's going in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like that's what I kept thinking about, and I was like, God, that would be so fucking cool if it
Been like
yeah,
was
a
just a
19-minute
hat
minute
trick
cleanup
goal.
job.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
seriously, like they might have to just end the game at that point.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Like obviously, like the Doling hat trick with him and Crosby, like that was like the craziest like hat throw that I've seen from fans, like really ever. And I guess I'm kind of biased in that, but I was envisioning like as I was like walking in, I was like, if he does it, people are gonna like lose their minds. Like hats, like people who aren't even wearing hats are gonna find someone with a hat and probably like yank it off their head and throw it. Like the absolute scenes it would have been, plus just like everything, like I said, everything just culminating to that moment would have just been like the perfect celebration for literally everything. But again, you know, credit to him for being, that confidence, like you said, I don't care who I'm playing against, I'm going to score against him anyway. So good luck. But it's also, it's his record. Caps fans, I think, have been very, very good. We're very knowledgeable in what circumstances are. So like being able to see a situation and not make it about ourselves and like we just get to enjoy it like with him. I think that's definitely something that like played into it. And he like kind of probably had that in the back of his mind that, they're going to enjoy this that just as much as I'm going to enjoy it one way or another. And we saw that with how many Caps fans were on Long Island on Sunday. So
There was
like,
a lot of red there.
yeah,
Well, let's move on to Sunday because obviously there's quite a bit to talk about there. If you don't think that the hockey gods had a script for this one, buckle up because this is pretty wild. So not only did Wayne Gretzky also score his record-breaking goal against the New York Islanders, the 894, then Ovi scores his 895th against the Islanders. So the same team. And to top it off, Ovechkin scored the 895th in the same amount of games that Gretzky scored 894. That is 1,487 games played.
Now, technically, there is an asterisk there just because Gretz was scoreless in his final, I believe, 8 games of his career. So technically, Gretzky scored those goals sooner, but they played the same amount of games to get to the
To get
numbers.
to
So,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, they've got eight. Yeah, fair point. Um, so obviously, power play goal. I'm pretty sure when we were all at Don't Know watching this, uh, the power play happened. I pulled out my phone. I was like, I'm gonna video this because I already know how this is gonna go. Sweet little pass by Tom Wilson and vintage long distance wrister from Ovi with one of the all time sellies. And obviously, there was a big ceremony after that. I know we've all watched it. So like just your guys' overall impression on the goal, the celly, the ceremony. I know some people bitched about it, saying it should have been at the end of the game. Obviously, people are always going to complain, but like you guys just go off. This is your moment.
I don't think you could have put it at the end of the game. I think that would have been so confusing. That would have been more confusing than them bringing out the Stanley Cup before game one last year. Like that just would have completely thrown everyone's game off. But yeah, it's just like pure elation. Like we've been talking about him doing this for so long. It's like I definitely had like yeah, you get almost emotional. Like I mean, you guys we were all at Don't Know. Mac, unfortunately, I know you weren't there and we absolutely missed you, but like guys were very emotional. Like a lot of guys were instantly calling like their families and their dads and like we've grown up watching this guy. Like all of us have been blessed to grow up and watch him play hockey for the last what like 20 25 years it feels like. So I mean it was just I was just so happy for him because he still celebrates every single goal like it's the first, and that's my favorite thing about Ovi.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then like being there, like you said, Nick, it was kind of like a lot of people were so emotional. Like I had my family texting me saying like there's tears coming out of my eyes because it's like, and I mentioned it to you while we were there. It's Washington. I'm a Washington sports fan. Love the Caps, love the Wizards, even though they kind of suck. Uh, Commanders, like I've been through the heartache with the Commanders. I've been through their RG3 stuff. Being able to call that guy, your guy, um, for his entire career, and then to see him be on the top of the mountain in a sport where there was a record that was nearly untouchable until he got there. Um, it's something there was something about being able, like a sense of pride to be able to point at him and say, "Hey, he has no idea who I am, but like that's my guy." And that's something that DC area sports fans, I don't think we've ever really had in any sport. And then it just so happens that this guy is arguably on the Mount Rushmore of hockey now. So it really is like an emotional moment, and you could hear like everybody in the bar just shouted, even if you weren't like there for the Caps game and just getting brunch or something. Like people were like elated that it happened, and even though we weren't there, it still felt like we were all there at the same time. I don't really know how else to like really explain that, but it really felt like you put you there with him, and it just felt like a whole collective thing instead of just an Ovi thing. Yeah.
Yeah, well said. Now I was actually in Chicago. My girlfriend and I were going to a concert that night, so I drove down to Chi-Town in the morning, watched the game with her and her family who are there, not sports people at all, but they God bless them. They know how much I care about it, and so they made a point to watch it with me and kind of learn about it and all that. And like when he scored the goal, my girlfriend's mom was like in tears basically because she was like, I don't even know like what most of this is about other than what you've filled me in on the last like hour that we've been sitting here, but like I can just like tell how like important and special this is. And I just think that speaks a lot of words about the moment itself.
I my phone crashed like 4 times
Yeah.
that day. I was trying to upload stuff to like the pod social and I'm like trying to get videos from my brother who was there and
Yep.
like every time I'm trying to send something it's just like ding 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 and it
Yep.
was people from high school and middle school and
Yes.
family members that I know don't give two shits about hockey that are
Yeah.
texting me saying like wow this is incredible. And
It's
I
good
think
for the
that
game for sure.
absolutely and one of the other things that really sticks out to me is the franchise record for goals as a Washington Capitals is now 895 goals.
I didn't even think about that.
Like
That's
he did this with
hilarious.
one team. Gretz
Yeah,
did this
that
with four or five, two really,
yeah,
but four or five
right.
teams. He did this with one team, and there's just people that are you're impressed when they play for one team for
Right.
their whole career, but to be the league leader in goals and hit a record that no one ever thought was going to get touched, I think is something different.
It's special. I also wore my this OV jersey that I'm wearing right now. I wore this to the concert I went to later that evening, and like random people at the show kept coming up to me and being like, "Congrats, bro!" And I was like, "Yeah, thanks. It was all me, man. I did it." So
Any thoughts on Gretzky's little speech there?
Thought it was nice. It was funny. I like how he opened with, "Hey, it's nice to have a good reception here instead of losing the Stanley Cup final to the Islanders like every other time I was in this building." So that was good. Um, Thought his speech was great. I don't know why Bettman had to talk, but that is what it is. But I thought it was cool to see Janet crying. Like she was emotional the entire time, and I think
yeah,
that really drove home for a lot of people what a big deal it was. But I mean, Wayne is Wayne. He is the best ambassador for this sport, and unfortunately, that's been put on his shoulders since he was probably 16 years old. But
yeah,
he does a great job of, it's never about him. It's about everyone else that's involved, and he did such a good job of, making this about Ovi and being such a mentor to Ovi, throughout his career and everything is just, it's really, really special to see.
yeah. He was classy about it. I like the Howe pin. That was a nice touch, honoring who he beat the record for in his day. Loved the whole like wife gives him a present situation, kind of as a tradition. I thought that was a really cool thing to kind of carry on. Yeah, I thought the whole thing was very well done. I also think, just to fast forward for a minute to to the end of the game, has there ever in the history of sports been like a beer shower and celebration after your team just lost 4-1? That
It's a
might be
good
one of the
point.
funniest things of all time. I don't think a single person in the Capitals organization gave a single shit about the score of that game.
Yeah, I
No.
think they just wanted they were like it just, like once the goal happened and play started again, I felt like it was just like, all right, let's wrap this up so we can
Yeah.
just kind of get on to the post game and what comes after
Yep.
that.
Yep.
So yeah. But I was gonna say like Gretzky, he kind of like you said, he didn't make it about him, which is just like the consummate pro that he is and who he is. And I would even kind of argue that like, you know, Ovechkin's in like a lot similar shoes as he is. You know, he came into the league very young, um, and kind of polarized the entire league. You know, I think if you walked up to a random person who doesn't watch hockey and you ask them to name a hockey player, I would, kind of put a good bet on they'd either say Wayne Gretzky or Alex Ovechkin. Um, so I mean, it was almost like Wayne was like a proud moment for Wayne for him to be able to pass the torch. Not like a relief, I don't know, but it definitely sounded like he was ready to pass the torch, very okay with passing the torch because of what Alex has meant, not just for us because we're spoiled, but like for the entire league in general. So
I also think it's sick, like just how much Ovi also didn't make it about himself. Like anytime he got a chance to speak, all he wanted to say was, it's all about the teammates, past and present, that he's gotten to play with. Post game, he said, "We did it. It's not me. We did it." So very, very classic Ovi. He's a humble guy, even though he's a flashy goal scorer.
I love the I don't know if you guys saw the video of him and Sorokin afterwards. I love the fact that, coming into this game, the talk was he hadn't scored on Sorokin yet. And, we all know how competitive Ovi is. So, he wanted to do that against his countrymen. But so cool of Sorokin to give him the stick. He said, after the season, I'm going to give you my glove. And then, he comes in with 4 or 5 pucks for Islanders teammates just to get Ovi to sign him. And it's like, everyone's a fan. You can't not be a fan of this
Yeah.
guy. Like even pro athletes are saying, "Hey, can you sign this for me?" Because they know what we all just saw. So,
How about
uh,
the tribute video with freaking like Michael Jordan and there was
Phelps
also some real randos in there. They had like what's his face from the band Train in there. Like I don't know if
yeah,
that guy's a
yeah.
hockey fan or something,
Wasn't
Pat,
like
whatever
Danny
his name is.
DeVito in there
There
too?
was
Yeah,
there was at
yeah.
Yeah.
least three or four. Like as you're watching that video, it's like, oh, cool. Oh, wow, nice. Wait, what?
Right.
Who? Like what the fuck? But yeah, it was cool.
What a week for Ryan Leonard. I couldn't help but think
Yes,
about that.
I
He
was gonna
goes
say
from
that.
college to the big leagues, gets his first career goal on an empty net in the same game that Ovi tied it. Gretzky comes in the locker room after the game, and I don't know if you guys saw, it's like the behind the scenes footage, like, and who's the kid who scored his first goal? And like Leonard comes up, he's like, good job. I'm like, well, that's cool.
Dude, yeah,
And then
that's
he's on the
insane.
and then he gets to be in the game where Ovi breaks the record, gets to see Wayne again, gets a beer shower in the locker room as an underage. Like just a hell of a week for the kid.
This has to go
Yeah.
down as the best first week in NHL history, right? Like, I mean, he is just living the dream right now.
Have you guys seen the video? The caption is like so basically it's like I don't know, like a 30-second video of Ovi like tapping Lenny on the shoulder after his shift a few different times throughout the few games he's played. And he never says his name. He always says like "attaboy kiddo" or like "good job kid" or something. And the caption's like there is a real possibility that Alex Ovechkin does not know Ryan Leonard's name.
I wouldn't be shocked. Harry, didn't Gino like not know
Uh
anyone on the team's name at all?
Never knew anyone. It was just like say like general like pronouns or whatever to people,
Yeah.
and it's
Hey
just
guy.
because he never knew. Must be
Yeah.
a Russia thing. I don't
Good
know,
shift,
but
guy.
Right.
yeah. Hell of a celebration.
Yeah.
He came back to DC the same day and was getting double-fisted beers handed to him at the I guess the bar they were celebrating at. But um, any final things you guys want to add? Like, I don't want to move this segment on too quick because this is like your guys' pinnacle of existence, I feel like.
Easily the
I think,
biggest moment that the show has had since we started.
yeah, I think Nick, you also made mention of it too. Like he's still 5 away from 900. So
Right.
like,
I
like
do.
it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. We've
Yeah.
never seen 900 before, and we're well within reach.
Right.
Probably gonna have a
Well,
beer shower after that one
I
too.
was gonna say, think about this. I mean, I know at least for 800 and 700, and I'm pretty sure 6 and 5. I can't remember before that. On those goals, the whole team has at least come out onto the ice and like dogpiled him for that goal. Are they gonna do that again if he gets 900 like in the last 5 games?
I don't know.
It's
Yeah,
a
I mean,
lot. It's a lot, but
I don't know if those guys need any excuse to really celebrate. Like they just like from the 2018 Cup run, they've kind of had their own little standard on
right.
celebration. So I don't think they need much of a reason just to get after it.
Yeah.
Do you
That
guys
was
have a favorite out of the 895? Is there one that stands out to you? I don't know, maybe you were there
Ooh.
for it or like a big playoff goal or something.
the one that I was there for that is like his most famous goal that I was in the building for is probably the playoff goal against the Rangers.
Okay.
That one was fantastic to be like in the dying seconds of that period too, I believe so.
Hmm.
Um, that was an awesome one. I know everyone talks about the goal on his back and everything, and like obviously that's probably technically his craziest goal. But I really think like there's two that I think of that are like the coolest to me. One is the Montreal
Yup.
behind the back off the boards, go in, score.
Easily.
But the other one that's like a little more, I think it's more recent than that. Um, is like the Devils one where he like dangles like two guys in the neutral zone and then at the blue line and then ends up like on his knees and backhand roof jobs it like as he's like crossing the goal line. Basically, that one is just defies gravity. It's ridiculous.
And
So
that one
those are
was
the
a
That
ones that
little
comes to mind.
later on too. That wasn't
Yeah,
like
that's what
early
that
Ovi
was.
days.
No, exactly. That was like I don't know. I want to say like maybe 5 years ago or something like that. Like it was not that long ago. So that was fantastic.
I think one that definitely gets kind of swept under the rug because it was so long ago. I mean, you could really say maybe the third goal of the hat trick against the Penguins in the dueling hat trick game. Just absolute wrister between the defender's legs, top shelf. I think his very first playoff goal against the Flyers may be
That's
my
a good
favorite.
one.
Just because like the situation in the game, like they had crawled their way back to tie the game, and then he creeps down the boards, stick stick lifts, gets the puck, waits, and puts it in for the very first goal in his very first playoff game. And then that's when he was allowed to do his old celebration of just 100 miles an hour into the boards and jumping into the glass. And I'll never forget my dad got the I think it was the Washington Post the next day, and it had just like the picture of him into the boards and like the fans also jumping into the boards with him. And I think it just like really like encapsulates like that guy was with us, like we're with him, and it was just the timing of the goal as well. Like it was just like the start of what we all knew would eventually be the Legend of Ovi.
That's a great one and a great point. And that was sort of, that playoff series specifically in that season is so iconic because they were so bad for so long after the 98 Cup run. And then they get this guy, little bit of a uniform rebrand, bring in Bruce, everything just catches fire and they go on this playoff run. And all of a sudden that building goes from being, a library night in and night out to one of the most electric buildings in the NHL. And it still is. And it's absolutely down to him.
Oh yeah,
100%. Yeah, and the other playoff one that I just got to mention real quick is the game 7 against Tampa like 30 seconds in where he's like basically at the blue line like where a fucking defenseman stands and he just fucking rips one past I don't know, just the best goalie in the league at the time, no big deal. Last thing that I want to bring up in this Ovi segment and then we can for real move on. They were talking about this on Chicklets and I think we got to touch on it. Um He's obviously signed for next year. So theoretically, he plays one more year in the NHL. Who knows what happens after that? But they were kind of debating on Chicklets, and I want to hear what you guys have to say. If somehow, some way, the Caps win the Cup this year, does he retire, go out on a high note? And additionally, whether he wins the Cup or not this year, does he play next season? Does he play another season after that just to get to 1,000? Like, let's say he scores, let's say he plays next season. I think it's realistic to say he might pop 30 or 40 next year if he plays next season. At that point, you're like halfway to 1,000. I don't know. 1,000 would be pretty fucking crazy.
That's a great point. And if you do the
yeah.
math, like, had he not missed the lockout year he was drafted, the lockout shortened season, the COVID shortened season, I mean, we could be looking at 1,000 right about now, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, I don't know. There's part of me that wants to think he would go out on a high note, and then there's
Yeah,
another part of me that's like, dude, let's just run this thing through the roof and see how high we can go. And then,
right. Well,
like, please don't leave.
Biz made a good point. He was like, if you want this record to never be broken, and he was like, knowing Ovi and how competitive he is, he wants it to never be broken. He was like, if you get 1,000, you're basically making it forever impossible because that's 20 50 goal seasons.
Yeah,
That's
that's
Like
nuts.
gross. That is gross
that's
to think about.
never going to happen.
If you guys win the cup, I would bet I would put the odds at like minus 140. I think he hangs him up. And I'm only saying that not because I'm a Penguins fan and praying to God that happens because I'm like done with this battle at this point, especially with how bad we are. But he's said in recent interviews like, oh yeah, like if I break the record the next day, like I'm done playing hockey. Like he's joked about it. I don't know. I just feel like you break the record and you get a cup. Like, what's left? Like, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I think
A
fans will
third
definitely
one.
want no
Yeah, let's get
back
greedy
to
here.
back. That'd be. I think like the fans would want to like obviously like soak in that last season and
The
just
victory
from
lap like Flurry's had this year. Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of teams will want to be able to say like, hey, I played against Ovechkin in his last season. A lot of fans are going to want to pack the building to go see him play, no matter what the outcome may be. But I think he definitely is like, I think he'd be more inclined to keep playing because I do think that one Stanley Cup is like a thorn in his side. Like I think he definitely wants to get multiple, kind of like a Peyton Manning. You
Yeah,
know, Peyton Manning didn't hang it up until he got that last one, even though he's probably hanging it up after that season
right.
anyways. But once you win one, it's like, okay, yeah, you win one, but how many more can you win? And, Sidney Crosby has got three under his belt. So I think that definitely kind of sticks in the back of his mind, like, hey, I got this for myself, but I really want one more just to kind of put the cherry on top. So,
I fully expect, like, we all know how much that Dynamo program means to him. He's absolutely, I think, gonna go home and pay it forward a little bit.
Yeah, I think either way he'll finish there, but it's just all a
Yeah,
matter of when he decides it's time. So
yeah.
Conveniently, Malkin's contract's up at the end of next year too. I just have a
Oh
weird
my
feeling like
God.
it'd be fitting for the two of them to go
to
back
go
home
back
and
together, that'd be pretty
yeah,
cool. That would be
yeah.
cool.
The starting
But
line for Dynamo, like dropping the puck, it's Malkin, Ovechkin, and Kuznetsov. Like,
oh
yeah,
my God.
yeah. Well, fellas, that was a great Ovi segment. Sean, thank you for joining us and also for showing up at Don't Know Sunday.
yeah.
Of course. Thanks for letting me take over the gram for a little bit as well. That's
Yeah,
pretty
you
sick.
killed it, dude. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. No, anytime, guys. I love speaking with you guys. Hopefully some more don't knows in the future so we can celebrate a little bit more.
Hopefully, we're doing Don't Knows in June. Fingers crossed.
Kill me.
Maybe we'll run it back. Cap one watch party.
Might as well. Good things happen.
Good things happen. All right, boys. Well, you take it easy.
Huge thank you to Sean for joining us. And that was kind of painful for me to sit through, but at the same time, like kind of cool to witness, you guys and Sean and all the other Caps fans just reminisce on this.
You were a
Um,
good sport about it. We appreciate it.
I try to be. I try to be. I sat through a Caps watch party for this, and I was like, okay,
Right.
I'll play
Or
nice.
let's look at it this way. You sat through a New York Islanders game for this.
Yeah.
Oof.
I'll
Yeah.
give you I'll give you a golf clap for that
Yeah.
first. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's the only way the Islanders could crack 1 million views on TNT. There's no way other ways. I think I read online that they posted their numbers and they did 1.3 million viewers,
Yeah.
and it was the most watched non-Winter Classic regular season game in TNT's short NHL history.
Yeah.
So
That's
very,
awesome.
very good for the league, obviously. All right, we've talked about Ovi enough on this episode.
Yeah,
Uh,
debatable.
What?
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Nick, college hockey, just a reminder for all the listeners, Frozen 4 is Thursday, April 10th. Western Michigan versus Denver at 5 p.m. and then BU versus Penn State at 8:30 p.m. and the national championship on Saturday. I know you
Correct.
gave out your picks last week, but you're still hanging true on the Penn State pick.
Well, am I allowed to after the weekend I had? I don't know. I mean,
Ooh, wait, should we talk?
maybe we'll do that afterwards. But yeah,
Okay.
so Western Michigan and Denver. That's like a good old fashioned like 90s hockey playoff game.
That's
Like
gonna be a damn good hockey game.
that's some big boy hockey right there.
And then
That
we get to watch freaking Caps Canes rematch right after that too. That's
right,
gonna
which
Thursday is gonna be a good night.
I will be in attendance for. So
Oh, let's go, brother.
that's gonna be a
That
fun
is
one.
so
That's
awesome.
that's gonna be like I went to a street fight and a hockey game broke out. Like,
Not to keep bringing up Chicklets, but they asked Strom, Witt put him on the spot on the episode and was like, all right, at the end of the interview, he's like, I'm sorry to do this, but I gotta ask, what's gonna happen on Thursday? He wouldn't say shit. He was like, oh, I don't know. And Biz goes, I know what's gonna happen.
yeah,
So, real quick, I'll read off some other college hockey news, and then I want to talk about that because I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. They announced the Hobie Baker finalists. They've got Zeev Buium, Ryan Leonard, and Isaac Howard as the three. Obviously, Leonard's already in the NHL. People are saying Buium after the Frozen Four will be up in the bigs. Kind of surprising that Isaac Howard hasn't signed yet. I'm a little surprised by that.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
wondering if Tampa is just like, hey, with where you're at, we're probably not going to put you in the lineup this year, so let's not even burn it. I know he would have to play what, like 9 or 10 games to start the first year of that ELC anyways, but I think with what they have going on, they're probably okay. I mean, maybe once their playoff matchup is set, you bring him up for 1 or 2. I wouldn't be shocked if he signs for the postseason and just kind of shadows the team a little bit, maybe a little bit of like a black ace role, but
They're so stacked. There just might
yeah,
not be a spot for him. Although we've
right.
seen it before. A lot of greats have made their NHL debut in a postseason game. Tom Wilson, Cale Makar. So not out of the question.
Didn't Kreider do that too?
He
that's digging
may
in the memory
have.
bank.
Yeah.
I don't know from memory, but that sounds right to me. Like that, I would not be surprised if that's the case.
I think the big thing here, Harry, is Zeev Buium has kind of really asserted himself. Now that Ryan Leonard is in the NHL, Zeev Buium's the best player not currently in the NHL. So that's something that I think I don't know if we really, we all knew he was good, he was great, he was fantastic at the World Juniors, but has just kind of continued to take it another 1 to 2 steps further this season. If I was the Wild, how are you not putting him in the lineup?
Oh, they're
Es-
gonna.
Yeah,
Especially, well, it sounds like from what I've heard, Eriksson and Kaprizov should be back
right.
soon, I think. Like maybe even like in the next couple games before the season ends here. But either way, I mean, especially if they're not going to be ready, somehow get Zeev over here.
Absolutely. I think you have to. And I mean, Eric Sinek is, I don't want to turn this into a talk about the Minnesota Wild segment, but he is essential to that team's success in the postseason. Like, you don't have him, pack it up.
100%.
The winner of the Hobie Baker will be announced on Friday, April 11th, during a live broadcast on NHL Network. Gotta love that. Everyone has it, right? Good job, NHL,
Yeah.
for
It'll
fucking
also
that
be
one
on
up.
hobiebaker.com. So it's like if you want to do that, you can, but, if you have NHL Network, my condolences. You have to watch NHL Network.
Don't let me forget about that Chatfield Caps on Thursday. We'll get to that here in a second when we talk about around the league a little bit. In terms of betting this time of year, in case you haven't noticed, the NHL is as unpredictable as I've ever seen it. I would strongly suggest steering away from betting essentially until the postseason. There's just so many steep money lines. There's guys who are, getting benched on Florida. There's guys who are hurt on Edmonton. Like you're just
There's
getting
teams
weird.
tanking so they don't have to play the Lightning.
Yeah, there's just some weird things going on.
The Boston Bruins exist. Like, I mean,
What I was thinking, I know it's over now, but I wasn't even thinking like this. But Strom was saying, like he said in his interview that he was not shooting the puck like on purpose because he was trying to get the puck to over. So like shit like that was
Yeah.
happening too. Like there's too much to juggle right now. I would echo that sentiment. Wait till postseason.
Yeah, I think you wait until the postseason, and I feel like, speak up if you guys think I'm wrong here, but I feel like the formula that's worked for us is wait for like one player in the first round to just start establishing themselves over like a couple games. Like we did Hedman shots on goal. We rode that for like what, 3 playoff series. Shea Theodore shots on goal, same thing. So that's usually what I look for.
Yep, we'll be all over that. This comes to us from our buddy Chips on Twitter, but this ch kind of emphasizes everything we're saying. He said in his most recent tweet, "There's rematches galore in the NHL with only two minus 200 money lines. Only four of the last 26 games since Saturday have gone over 6.5, which is nuts. And that's a guy who's up like 100 units over the last 5 seasons, and I'm not overemphasizing that. I think he actually is. So, um, yeah, just tricky this time of year.
The only other thing I would add to this conversation, because I actually had my sister randomly texted me today that like one of her buddies was looking for a NHL bet tonight. So I took a quick look at the board, and one thing I've been seeing is like tonight's a great example. It'll be yesterday when you're listening, but like tonight, you've got Seattle playing Utah Hockey Club. And for whatever reason, again, yeah, no, I don't suggest watching that game. That sucks so much. But for whatever reason, they think like Vegas are setting the odds like Seattle's got zero chance to win that game. Like I think Seattle was almost plus 200 or something like that. So if you must bet on the NHL, find a game like that where you've got two basically equal teams in my opinion. I mean, I know Utah maybe is a little better on paper, but there's total plausibility Seattle will win a game like that at at plus 200 damn near. Take it. Why
Yeah,
not?
they're only 8 points apart in the standings. I feel like that's not all
Yeah.
that much.
Or like the other one was Toronto and Florida. They had like Toronto was like plus 140 tonight or something like that. And they've won they're what, 8-1-1 their last 10, Harry was telling me earlier, and
Yeah.
Florida's dropped three straight and they are tanking because they don't want to play the Bolts. So yeah, there's stuff you can sprinkle, but I definitely wouldn't be hammering anything.
Before we move on, just a reminder that that segment was brought to you by Prop Tracker, your home for player prop research and finding outlier bets for NHL, NBA, NFL, and more. Once you find a bet you like, start tracking it to get notified on its progress, like shots, rebounds, receptions, shots on goal, you name it, it tracks it. Go to proptrackerapp.com/emptybetters to try a free month of our Android or iOS app. All right, real quick, because I know we've talked a lot of Capitals and I want to get to Florida, but what do you think we see Thursday with Carolina and Washington?
I think if I had to guess, Chatfield and somebody will drop the mitts right off the opening draw. They'll get it done, and then they'll play hockey after that. That's what I would guess is going to happen. I'd
Uh,
say it'll be Dylan McElrath, but I don't think he'll be in the lineup. So
Yeah, oh my God. He was looking at carbs on the
you
bench, like,
wanted it.
please let me
You wanted
go.
it
Like,
so
dog
fucking
on a leash,
badly.
just like
He
unclip me and let
finally
me.
did get put out there, but nobody would. He was like, he went out there for like 30 seconds and like cross checked like three people, and no one
Yeah.
wanted any part of it.
I don't know what we see. I'm excited for that one. It's definitely going to feel like a playoff game. These two teams, there is no love there. They have been in the same division for what, 20, 25 years now. So it's not friendly. It's never been friendly. It wasn't friendly when I was in middle school. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where like, yeah, there's some unfinished business and yeah, you just flat out didn't answer the bell and now you're going to have to. And
Who
just
Who do
stand up and do it.
you guys think? Let's put Chatfield aside for a second. Not even saying that he's like a fighter. I know he's really not, but besides Chatfield, if somebody has to answer the bell on Carolina, who do you think? Like if Tom Wilson challenges the bench again and says who's going to protect your star players, who's answering the call?
I don't really think they have one.
They
Jankowski,
don't, but somebody's got yeah,
Maybe
maybe.
maybe.
Brent Burns,
Yeah, well, see,
maybe.
but
Well, but like he needs his hands for like snake wrestling in the off season, so he can't
yeah,
do
well, the
that.
thing about Burns is like Wilson kind of did challenge him on last game,
Yeah,
but before all that shit went down, he like Wilson like kind of gave a little shot to Burns at one point. Burns didn't do shit. He just fucking like he
I
didn't
would,
want any part of it.
no, well, who blames him? He's also older, but I would
Yeah,
suggest Svechnikov not entertain that conversation just based on history. Yeah,
yeah.
that's kind of one of the things that if they end up playing each other in the playoffs down the road, Carolina's going to have a tough time with handling all that.
It's really interesting that they do not play hockey the way that we do whatsoever. Like it's a complete apples to oranges situation.
yes.
I think I heard them say a stat during that last game against the Canes where there was all those penalties. Going into that game, I'm pretty sure the Hurricanes only had five fighting majors all year long, and that was the lowest in the
Wow.
entire league.
I buy it. I buy it. Yeah, that makes sense. They, you think a lot of their guys like small, speedy, Stan Coven, Blake, like those kind of guys.
Which
They could,
that's all good, but
yeah,
like, is that not maybe a reason why the postseason success, like, you gotta play big fuck you hockey, like, come
at
May
some
and
point.
June? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
we'll
just
see
think
what happens.
they
add them
focus
to
too
the
much on the
list
skill.
of teams that have had to learn the hard way that you can't come, into a game against the Washington Capitals and throw your weight around and not expect it to be thrown right back at you.
Right.
That's gonna be a hell of a series. I actually am praying we get that because I feel like that would be a good one.
So
Um,
Can I just
that's
also
kind of
say
like
fuck Rod Brindamore, by the way?
yes, you're allowed to say that.
Sweet.
That's
Dude's a
Harry, that's
crybaby.
kind of like what I'm expecting. Is like this is going to feel a little bit like a playoff game on Thursday, but
A little bit.
yeah, I agree with Mac that there's probably a fight that needs to happen in the first period just to put this thing to bed. And if it doesn't, you're
It,
just going to pick up right where you left off in the third period of that game.
yep, I'm with you.
And if I was Carberry, I would say, hey, look, you guys like we're here to win a hockey game. I know everyone wants to beat this team, but if you get a chance to make them feel some pain, make them feel some pain.
I hear you out on that. Speaking of a playoff series that we might not get at this point, Matt kind of alluded to it, but there are rumors, conspiracy theories, whatever term you want to use, that are swirling, not only on the internet, but on the TNT broadcast as well, that the Florida Panthers, who have now lost 5 games in a row, are purposely tanking their way into a wild card spot to avoid playing the Tampa Bay Lightning in round one. As we all know, it's a 2 versus 3 in the division for round one. And Ottawa
Lost three
is
in a row.
only they've lost five. Well, no, they've lost 5 in a row because on are you look at the last 10 or the streak thing on
Yeah,
NHL?
yeah, yeah.
They don't count OT losses as a
Oh,
loss.
what?
It's
That's
I
so
just double
stupid.
I
Okay,
learned
that's
that last
ridiculous.
week. Yeah.
All right, my bad.
No, you're good. So they've lost 5 in a row. It's the 2 versus 3 for round one. We all know that. And Ottawa is only 2 points behind Florida to take over that third spot. Is this a legitimate thing? Because on Sunday, if I read you the people that were on the bench or not on the bench, not dressed for this game against Detroit in their 2-1 loss, Bennett, Reinhart, Forsling, who joined Barkov, Sturm, and Kulikov, and obviously Kachuk, that were all already out prior. I don't know, guys. This is kind of got a stench to it a little bit.
It does. And also, I mean, they announced today, I think Bennett's done for the regular season. Convenient. Convenient. I
Yeah.
don't know, man. I don't know.
Nick, is
I
there anything
I
to this?
like yeah, this is fishy. Um, but like I just can't see a world where Paul Maurice would actually do this. I think if you're this scared of playing someone in the playoffs, you don't belong in the playoffs. So part of me just thinks they're just kind of going through some shit right now and they're just trying to limp this lineup that's definitely banged up to the finish line of this regular season. And they just, I mean, they've had to deal with injuries in their last two playoff runs anyways. I think they know better than anyone, hey, get these guys as rested and as somewhat whole as possible, and then just let them essentially break themselves in the postseason.
You're probably right. They are extremely banged up. I mean, to be fair, Marchand, Bennett, and I mean, what Barkov was hurt not that long ago. Also,
Yep.
Forsling's a
And
big one.
Marchand, yeah,
Like,
Marchand. I already said that. I don't know. They've got a lot of banged up players though.
yeah.
I really want that Battle of Florida round one. I'm
I
selfishly
know.
hoping because then we
Oh,
get
I
Battle of
think
Ontario.
right.
Well, it's
Both
more
of
about
those.
getting one of those teams bounced in the first round because they're both too damn fucking scary. I don't want to play either one.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want it to.
I
Like,
we can't not have like if it was like it has to be Leaf Sens and Cats Bolts. There can't be
It'd be
any
so
other
much better.
variation of that would make me happy because then I'm just gonna watch West Coast playoff hockey
Well, the
instead.
other problem is even if Florida doesn't fall to the wild card, all of a sudden Tampa's only 2 points behind the Leafs, so they
Right.
could just still win that division and then
yeah.
still play Ottawa that way. Like
Right.
there's a lot that still needs to be figured out. So,
So
um,
we'll talk a little standings here
yeah,
right now while we're at it. So I have to bring this up because you guys are flying high, and Caps fans, even in our interview, we're talking about what if we win the cup? He might not retire back to back. I gotta pump the brakes on this because I'm not having it. You guys are gonna play Montreal round one. I would say that's not quite set in stone, but
it's them or Detroit.
Yeah.
it's almost
And it's
guaranteed at
not
this
going to be
point.
Detroit.
Well,
Well, they're
Detroit
playing
is
each other right
playing.
now.
Yeah, they're
Right.
playing each other right now, and Montreal doesn't look too hot.
I think it'll be Montreal still, but regardless, let's say you guys are playing the Canadians. Just came over the waiver wire here, if you will, right before the episode started, that they are in the midst of bringing over their ace Russian prospect, Ivan Demidov, who comes from the
Owner of the Dimsdale Demidov.
who's coming over from
Nice.
the KHL. Nick talked about Bouillon earlier being the best player in the world, maybe not in the NHL. This guy's probably on a lot of lists as well. Um, I don't know how you guys feel if you take on Montreal.
I don't feel great about it. Don't love the Demidov stuff. Also, one of my best friends in Milwaukee previously came on the show to talk Habs at the beginning of the season, Mr. Mitch Krebs, aka Beer Enjoyer, um, diehard Canadians fan. So I really don't. I don't love the idea of him and I butting heads in round one. I know that's gonna get a little hairy. So, um, I don't know. Here's the thing that I'll say about both Montreal and Detroit, regardless of if it's one of those two teams. You're looking at two teams that are starved for playoff hockey, one more than the other, by the way. Um, and two absolutely electric buildings. That's what maybe scares me the most. Bell Center and
It's
the
the building.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
No, like
that's the one.
but both of the like I don't know which one's worse. Bell Center obviously is the mecca of like hard to play here, especially in the playoffs. But think about this, man. If somehow Detroit catches them first playoff games in like a decade, basically, and
Yeah.
Patrick Kane's on the team, and like I I don't know. I don't love either one, to be completely honest with
No,
you.
either one's a bad matchup. We were talking about it a little bit on
I know
Sunday.
just a couple of
Like,
weeks ago we said we would beat the brakes off the Red Wings if we ended up playing them in the playoffs, which
right.
I
I
like
think you
still
would.
kind of believe, but also like I don't
I
know.
think you would.
There's the situation scares me more than the actual team.
Montreal definitely scares me a little bit more. And part of that is just personal experience. And that's all I'm going to say about that because we don't need to talk about
Trauma.
the incident. And it sort of mirrors what could potentially happen with if you look at the standings now, like you can draw a lot of comparisons to it. That Montreal team is young, they're fast, they're insanely skilled. They do not get enough
Well
credit for that.
coached.
Very well coached, much more well coached than the Hurricanes. Let's just get that out of the way right now. Uh, Caulfield, Line, Suzuki, they're flying. I mean, those guys are really, really dialed up. It's clear that they like being there and playing there, and I mean, who can blame them? So yeah, that team is it's a scary matchup. I would like to think that, with what we've seen from the Washington Capitals this year, they can handle it, but it's not an easy walk in the park first round matchup. I don't even know if those exist in the Stanley Cup playoffs anymore, but certainly not this one.
They're also the one team that I think actually has a couple guys who could go toe to toe with like Wilson or Leonard or
They have
Macaron.
some
Like,
tough. Yeah, they do.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
fucking tough, man. Like they don't back down. So
Freaking Arbor, Zakaz, or Jack Guy, or however you say that.
Right.
Josh Anderson.
Yep.
Even fucking Brendan Gallagher's a little bitch that I
Yeah,
don't want to deal with. Like that guy freaking throw his weight around, even though he's little.
Yeah.
they've got some gamers. So I'm interested to see how that goes. The Rangers, while it's not official, sure as hell look like they are eliminated from the
They're
playoffs,
toast.
which is probably I mean, I don't know, guys. If
It's
you,
definitely the funniest thing that's happened in the NHL this season is them sucking.
I'm trying to figure out what the bigger disappointment is. If you took Mac, Nick, and Harry in October and fast forwarded them to now and said, what's worse, the Predators or the Rangers? I'm
Or the
like,
Bruins. I'm still not over that.
Yeah, but I
not like those
think
two, I feel like.
it's
On
tough.
paper, I have to go the Rangers because the Predators were sort of trying to reload and rebuild on the fly. So yeah, that doesn't necessarily work for everyone. Sometimes you have to grow into things. Shit just happened the wrong way down there this year. I think
Yeah,
everyone can go, okay, if they're that bad again next year, something's seriously wrong, and I don't
right,
expect that to happen. But
right.
I like to think that I know hockey well enough that I could have gotten that Rangers team into the postseason this year as a
I
coach
mean,
because
what? Yeah. The funniest part about the Rangers is there's no reason technically that they should be bad.
they
Like there's
have great young defensemen that are offensively minded and can move the puck. They have arguably the best goaltender in the world, and those aren't my words. Those are the words of Rangers fans. And great center depth, great wingers, great forwards. I mean, high first round picks.
yeah.
Tough, tough break for the
It
Rangers this
it's
year.
it's almost the same exact thing though. If you look at the Rangers and you look at the Preds and you look at expectation and reality, because again, Harry said it, bring us back to October. The Preds, based on their team and based on what Nick said, them reloading, we could have maybe imagined them being like third in the division or a wild card team, something like that. Instead, they're like one of the worst teams in the entire league, right? So you look at the difference between wild card team, worst in the league, that's what you have. Rangers, before the season started, we're thinking maybe another President's Trophy, definitely first in the division, maybe first in the East. and instead they're going to miss the playoffs by just a little bit. And if you look at that gap and the Preds gap of reality versus expectation, it's probably damn near the same thing.
The Wild have the last wild card spot in the West right now. They have 91 points. The Nashville Predators have 62 points.
Yep.
That's how much they miss by.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
That's
It's not,
tough.
I don't know, man. I'm like, I mean, obviously, I'm happy the Rangers are missing. Yes, I lost money on this, but like, it's worth it to just not have those fans be happy. If I have to
Right.
pay to play, so be it.
100%.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to think like before we wrap up here. Obviously, next week is a big week. This is the last full week of regular season hockey, and then next week, uh, I think on Thursday is the end of the regular season. I imagine playoffs will start on that Saturday, so we will have two episodes coming out next week. One for the Eastern Conference round one previews, and then one for the West. Um, is there like one matchup out of either conference? Doesn't matter. Like, what's the one big round one matchup you're like, I need this like oxygen?
I kind of feel like it's the Florida thing. I know we've seen it before, but this year specifically, a Florida Tampa matchup, I think would just be so good. And again, that would also mean we get Toronto, Ottawa, and I think that would be
Yeah.
almost equally as good.
Yeah, I gotta go. First one that jumps to mind for me is Toronto and Ottawa, just because I kind of remember those playoff battles that they had from when I was younger, but I would love to get the chance to fully experience, both of those very intense Canadian markets going
Reignite
back
that
and
flame.
forth. Yeah, why not? But I'll give you another one as a bonus. And I am totally sucked in on the Kings, and I want them to beat the wheels off the Oilers so bad.
Yes,
For the
please.
fourth year in a row, they're going to
Yeah,
meet in round one.
You
yeah,
want to know what's funny about the Kings this year too? They are so elite at home. I think I read
yep,
they've only lost four regulation games at home or some shit like that.
yep. They are
Uh,
29, 5-4 at home.
That's absurd. But if you flip the coin, they're not. They're actually like one of the worst teams
On the
of
road.
all time on the road. If you look at like the last several seasons or something like that. So that's something to keep your eye on moving forward. They definitely need home ice advantage. They're probably going to get it.
I mean, mine's pretty obvious, and this is, a little Colorado bias, but Rantanen versus Colorado is in round one is
Yeah,
going to be fucking awesome.
that would be fun.
I can't wait to see that. I also think a sleeper series. I think Vegas and St. Louis would
Oh
be a
yeah,
Yeah,
hell of a
oh
series.
yeah,
yeah.
I do too.
I think that one reeks of just like
7.
monster hits, fights,
Yeah,
physical. I think that could be
yeah,
the most physical.
it
Yeah.
could be.
What are some that you guys are like looking at for like maybe I don't want to get too far ahead of us here, but like, who are two teams that you want to see like collide in like a conference final or like a big second round matchup?
Well,
Hurricanes, Capitals.
we talked
Okay.
about
I would
that
love
one.
that just for so many reasons.
Yeah.
Some for the listeners here and some for you guys. I just think for me as someone who's not in it, just seeing the pot stir and the steam coming out of your ears, I need that.
I'd be fine with it. Caps and six easily.
Love that. I feel like I have to go Winnipeg, Dallas. Like I feel like
That's
that's
a
just
good
like
one.
two massive objects rolling at each other at like 100 miles an hour. So that would
I
be
don't
pretty
want it,
sweet.
but could we see a 2018 rematch of the Eastern Conference Finals,
Oh
Tampa and
my God, please.
Washington?
I can't sit through another one of that. I
I
think to this day, that's still the most stressful playoff series I've sat through in my life because the
Yeah.
cup final wasn't, the cup final was bad for one game. Let's be real.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Um, Last question. Who's the one team out of the West where you would be like, I'm cool with them winning the cup? Obviously, if it's not against the Caps, but like, who's your West team that you're pulling for since we're all kind of East Coast bias here?
LA.
Probably go LA or Dallas. I've been high on the Dallas train for a
Yeah, I'm
while.
fine with Dallas too.
I'd be nice to say I was right
But
about
I
something.
I fuck with that Kings team heavy.
Yeah, I could get on the King. I kind of like the Blues, man. I don't know. I'm
No,
like
I do not like that hockey team.
I've always had a soft spot for them. I don't know why. Maybe it's the jerseys, maybe it's the logo, but
Not
uh
for me.
Colorado would also. I mean, I'm a little biased on that one
Nah,
too.
boo, boring.
Okay then. That'll wrap up episode 256 for us. Thanks for listening. We appreciate the love and support as always. You guys got any final notes before we wrap up?
Yeah, quick trivia question. Who leads
Oh,
the NHL in goals?
Shit, hold on. I
All
know this.
time.
I know this.
All time.
Is it wait, not Sidney Crosby, final answer?
No, not even
Okay.
close. Not even
Okay.
close. Anybody? Bueller?
Tiggy
Bueller?
Skibbles.
I just want people to know Elliot Friedman on his most recent podcast did the math of the day. I think it was like what season he projects Austin Matthews to break Ovi's record. And I really hope that happens. I'm kind of sick of this already. It's been 48 hours and I've had enough. I've had enough.
I did see that he did it for like every player that like maybe could or even couldn't, but Matthews was like the only realistic one.
Also, shout out to whoever commented. It was on one of our posts. I can't remember what media outlet it was, but some guy wrote, "Yeah, combine playoff goals and then talk to me." And I was like, "Thank you, brother. I needed that.
No,
Appreciate it."
that's the stupidest argument of all
What?
time,
He
dude.
said he's like, "Well, that's the most goals," and I was like,
It's
"Yeah,
not
yeah, I'm
though,
with it.
because like
No, I'm with it. It's fine."
No.
no, it's you're with it because it suits your cause.
Well,
Like,
I
let's be
didn't say it
real.
has to be
Yeah.
logical.
I hate that argument. It's the dumbest thing on the planet. They're two separate records. It's playoff goals and it's regular season goals.
Isn't that how soccer does it? I think he wrote that. He said soccer like combines
Oh, well, we
playoffs.
First
can't
of all, if
start.
you are ever comparing soccer and
Yeah.
hockey, that's your first problem.
We can't take rules from soccer because then this will become the most wishy-washy sport on the planet, and that's from a diehard soccer fan. Shout out
Right.
to Arsenal who kicked the shit out of Madrid today, 3-zip. That was awesome.
So,
One more thing before we wrap up. Dominic Hasek, you could go fuck yourself. No one cares about your
Oh,
stupid opinions anyways.
agreed.
ooh, heard a couple of those I don't know too. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Can
even
we,
know what that's in reference to recently, but I've seen enough over the past, I don't know,
y-
5 years to know that
It's in
guy
line
is
with what you're
yeah.
thinking.
you do the math and
Yeah.
I figured. I
go look at
figured.
Hashik's Twitter if you want to know what we're talking about. Okay
Loser.
then. Appreciate the love and support as always. Congrats to Mr. Ovechkin. Not congrats to you Caps fans. I'll see you. Well,
Shake,
me, I won't see
rattle,
you.
roll.
I'll be rooting against you in round one. We'll see y'all next week.
Penn
Have a good
State
one.
sucks.